World Your Oyster.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to World Your Oyster, and I'm your host, Paula Sanders, here to empower the dreamers and the doers. Whether you're looking for inspiration, motivation, or just need a little hot, rich anti-pep talk, then you are in the right place, because every week I am sitting down with some of New York City's biggest, boldest, and brightest lights to remind you that the world is truly your oyster. So let's dive right in. Today, I am beyond excited to welcome a truly incredible designer to the podcast. Alejandra Alonso Rojas just finished showing her stunning Spring-Summer 2025 collection at New York Fashion Week, which I was lucky enough to attend. And I cannot wait to talk all about this collection with her. Alejandra is known for her timeless, seasonless approach to luxury fashion, blending traditional Spanish craftsmanship with a modern, sustainable twist. Her designs are not only beautiful, but also deeply personal. And they are often inspired by the women in her family and her own memories. We are going to chat all about the business, all about her process, and how she is shaking up the fashion world. I am so blessed to call this woman a friend, and I cannot wait for you all to meet her. So let's get into it. Alejandra, welcome to World Your Oyster.
Thank you, Paula.
I'm so excited to have you. It's like rare that you get to do this with a really good friend. So I'm thrilled to have you, and at such an incredible time, because we literally just finished New York Fashion Week here, and Alejandra presented her Spring-Summer 2025 collection, and I got to see it, which was such an honor. And it was really just so special, and everybody is talking about it. So how are you feeling after coming off of such an exciting show?
I am truly over the moon.
Yeah.
The attendance and having you guys over there, it really meant the world.
Yeah. You really feel the love. I've gotten to come to a few of your shows now since we've been in each other's orbits. And, you know, you have such an incredible community of people around you in both the fashion industry and beyond. And you really the love for you and respect and adoration is palpable. Because you always pick that 10 a.m. spot too. So you really, the girlies come. So it must feel amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm really lucky since I started my business and started really being part of the industry. Because as you know, I'm from Spain, so I'm not from here.
Yeah.
So when we first came to New York, we barely knew anyone. But I would say that I said from the beginning, I'll get introduced to a lot of people, but I just really want to have organic relationships, that might start as work or might start as a friend of a friend. But I really I wanted meaningful relationships with people that, could create our community, and people that I care about and vice versa. And I think that, slowly that has been building up, and I think the show it's a good place to actually see that.
Yeah,
yes,
100%.
And having the girlies wake up early,
having the girlies wake up early, put on the looks, do all the things.
Yes.
So you started your brand in 2016.
Yeah.
You're here from Spain. So I would love to hear, how you get into all of this. I know that so much of what you do is rooted in tradition and family. So I would love to hear a little bit about your upbringing and how you got into the fashion industry.
So since I was very little, I always say that I was never really playing with dolls. I was dressing them and styling them. And if you put anything else and then pieces of paper and pencils, I would always go towards the pencil and and the paper. So I didn't know if I was going to become an artist. I was always very intrigued by how things created a three-dimensional aspect. So I started knitting since I was very young. And then as I grew up, it was just very
Started
clear.
Knitting, is that what you said?
Yeah, I started knitting when I was 4. My mom taught me.
Okay, so
she was
mom,
like, let's keep her busy.
Okay, got it. She's like, we need to like get her away from the crayon. She's drawing on the walls. Let's entertain her hands by making her knit.
Yes. And she learned from her grandmother, and like, you know, like it's just been like a lot of, it's a big tradition in Spain to knit and crochet. So I grew up with it. Like my grandmother used to knit me, you know, like jackets and cardigans and little shoes, like when I was little until we were much older. And I don't know, it was always something that really intrigued me. And then as I grew up, like I just really kept thinking about like, you know, what I was wearing, like, oh, I want these pants, but like they don't exist. So I'm going to make them.
And you would make your own patterns, or you would like
I would make my own patterns. Yeah, I studied business. I don't know if you know that before I started fashion.
No, I didn't know.
There was a deal made with my parents. My dad was like, I think you want to work for yourself. Like, I don't know if I see you like, you know, like in the future, like you'll start working for other people. Like you must, you know, it's so important.
You have to start somewhere.
But I could see you being an entrepreneur. Like both my parents were entrepreneurs since they were 18 years old. And he kind of saw that in me too. So he was like—
What was their business, if you don't mind me asking?
So my dad started a business with computers. He was the first one to bring Apple to Spain, like so long ago. I think this is like probably the 80s. Like they had like an IT store or like a company. I mean, I wasn't born, so I can't exactly recall. But they brought Apple, like Macintosh at the time, like that's how they called it. Right, Macintosh.
Yeah, Macintosh.
To Spain. And then so they started a company with that. Then they were also one of the first ones to bring like the continuous paper for like those printers. At the time.
I just got a printer at home that has continuous paper. I'm like, have we gone back in time? I don't understand.
So yeah, they really started with that, and then like it evolved into like IT. You know, like my mom became a chef years later. She was also a model for some time for like Jesus del Pozo, like a big designer in Spain that then actually turned into Del Pozo.
Okay.
Like many years later. So yeah, it was, you know, like pretty much like great entrepreneurs. And so I kind of got it for them. So the deal was, we think you should actually go to, you know, do business school. Like you're a great student, which I was. I loved studying, and like, you know, it was easy for me. I didn't have issues with that. He was like, you're great with numbers, you know, like you're great at these, like you're just going to push through. So I did my finance undergrad in Madrid, but then from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., I would actually go to fashion school.
Wow.
After going to class. And my dad was like, yeah, she really wants to do this. So the deal was like, you know, do these, and then like, you know, we'll support you with like any classes you want to take, like overseas. So I went to St. Martin's, I went to Parsons, I did my undergrad in Spain.
All in fashion design, obviously.
All fashion design. But the good thing about going to business school first and doing my undergrad in that was that I actually got to spend a whole year in Paris, which was amazing.
Not the worst.
With an exchange program. And then the other good thing was that, you know, today I can sit down on financial meetings. I'm my CEO. I'm designing. And so I have like this very creative part of my brain. And then at the same time, I have this like great other part that I'm like, you know what, like if we just make this little tweak to that dress, you know, the price point could actually vary a lot, you know? So I work very close with all of my team on that, because I'm not like, you know, I don't get defensive, or I feel like I can really like apply both, and it's actually nice to understand like how the business is run, and being able to sit down, you know, and really brainstorm about
it's an important part of it, right?
You know, and at the same time have these like whimsical and like, you know, dreamy part of my brain, and they're really not fighting together, so it's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you go to Central St. Martin's, which is like one of the most prestigious, you know, fashion schools, and that's in London, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to Parsons in the US.
Yeah, I did. So I had my undergrad based in Spain, in Madrid, because I didn't know if I was going to have any subjects left from business school. So I was like, let's just settle here. But then I would go to St. Martin's for like a few months to do like, you know, these specific classes I wanted to do. And then I would take off to New York and do these specific classes I wanted to do. I drove my school like headmaster crazy in Madrid, but I was like, look, I'm going to do it my way. And then the other good thing was I had already an undergrad under my belly. So since the day one, I found jobs like fashion jobs. So I work with a couturier designer in Madrid. I work with a master tailor. Like I was always working.
Right.
And then school, of course, was a priority. But, because I already had knowledge, I had been taking classes like, in the evenings. And like I thought that the experience in this industry is everything. And I really wanted to know exactly what I wanted to do. I also worked in a big corporation in Spain as well. Like a big competitor to Zara over there too. And so I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. But I tried it,
Right.
And then I decided after like years of that, like to come to the US to do my master's in Chicago at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. It was very different to the training I've had in Spain and like, in other places where it was more like a conservative way of fashion, like more, like how things were done before. And this school had like it was more art based, it really broke my mold. And I think it really helped me like shape myself into the person that I am today. I had like the lack of like having like teachers like Nick Cave, who's like was just at the Guggenheim, like with an exhibit. And I remember he was like, you have to make a chair. And I was like, no, but it really
forced you to think outside of your box.
Yes. And I think it really pushed my knowledge with like fabrications, construction, and like all the art that now I apply also into the clothes. And that you can mix with like, my years in tailoring, my years in couture, and everything just comes together. So I'm very grateful for that.
So the year before you start your business, it's 2025. Where are you in the world? Chicago?
I was actually in New York. Yeah. I couldn't get a work visa,
So this is the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a work visa.
And I was lucky to get an internship at Anna Sui. I wish, I could have gotten like a job, but it was easier to get an internship visa. So I was interning for them, loved it. And then at the same time, I started doing my own thing, like at nights, like when I came back from work.
Did they know?
I think so. Yeah, I was pretty open about it. And then like some stores, it was funny because it was actually shoes. And then like a few stores actually bought the shoe collection.
So you started with shoes.
Yeah, very randomly. I was doing clothes, but for my master's degree, I did like also the shoes. My parents were living in Mexico City at the time, and I started working with artisans over there. So they would design these embroideries for me, and then I would apply the embroideries like to the shoes because I mean, you know how much I love craftsmanship and all of that. So it was really inspiring. I would go visit them like so much and just met tons of artisans. And so I really wanted to do something there. So I did a footwear collection and then I started selling it in like a few stores. Yeah, there was a moment where like I was showing sketches to like a few people here in New York, and then they were like, "No, you must, like do the collection." And then one thing truly led to the other. They introduced me a person that was working in production, so like she connected me with factories, and it was actually also one guy that I met in Chicago at the university. And so anyway, like one thing led to the other, and we were presenting for Fashion Week, and it was crazy.
And this is by 2017 you're presenting for Fashion Week?
Yeah, spring, summer, yeah.
And then when do you get accepted? Because you work with the CFDA as well.
Yeah.
So around what time?
So years later, so that was my first presentation, in 2016 for spring, summer 17. And then after that, I got introduced to the CFDA. I remember I had like a Laird Borelli, who I adore from Vogue. She knows so much about like archives, like, and fashion. And so she came because she was scouting for like up and coming designers in New York. And we had like a beautiful conversation. And then she like puts me the next day into like designer to watch on Vogue.com. And I feel like that was really the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so after that, a few years later, I applied to the CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund, didn't get in for the first 2 times, got in on the third one. At the same time, I became a member of the CFDA, which was wonderful. And that was the beginning.
And what was it like to be part of the when you went into the actual incubator? Because that's what CFDA is essentially, right?
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you?
It was quite amazing. I feel like it was a really special group of people.
Who were you in with? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was with Christopher John Rogers. I was with Daniel Frankel. And they're both still like, really good friends. And I have so much, support for them. And Hillary from Colina Strata, who I adore too. Yeah, and some other brands. A few of them are unfortunately no longer there, but yeah, most of them are still there, so it's great.
Such a cool journey.
Like Reese Cooper, who I also think like he won one of the awards. Yeah, it was a really cool group of people. I was literally also like 3 months postpartum, so it was insane.
What a time.
What a time.
What a time to do that. And we'll definitely get into, being a mom and doing all that you do.
Just do it all.
Doing it literally all. But let's talk about your girl for a minute, right? Yeah. Like if nobody has ever seen your designs, how would you describe your collections and the way that you design and the way that you think about your garments?
I always say like I design for the modern woman. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you have like a modern style. But what I mean by that is that I feel like, I adore fashion, like adore couture, adore everything about it. I feel like, in our day-to-day life, it could be as special as it was before, but it needs to be comfortable.
Clothes that are wearable.
Clothes that are wearable. At the same time with the ethos of like, I want to design clothes that, you have in your closet for like a lifetime and that they're never outdated and that you can just like keep styling and restyling. Yes. And also, as I always say, like, I'd love to make clothes that are like so easily packable.
So they don't wrinkle.
Exactly. Like we travel a lot, right? Like you just want, we just don't want any more complications in our lives. And that doesn't mean that we don't want to look beautiful and that we don't want to put time into like what we're wearing. But I just want to make it easy. I want you to just like throw on a suit, throw on a dress, and feel like really like the best version of yourself without having to think too much about, like underpinnings, or like a lot of other, complicated things that we know exist out there. And I want you to be able to sit down, and stand up and walk and just, be in the room and not think like, you cannot breathe.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I always remember the way that I felt when you so graciously lent me that gorgeous rose-colored silk piece.
You look so beautiful.
I felt like a princess, a queen, like all of the things. But I also drove from New York City to the Hamptons for an event that day. I didn't have a single wrinkle in that dress. And I sat in the car for like 3 or 4 hours. I looked absolutely perfect. And it's just the most beautiful dress. And I know that so much of what you do is hand done. Like I know you do a lot of hand dyeing and crocheting, as you spoke about that you've been doing that since you're a child. So can you talk about some of like the handwork that you do?
Yeah, I started researching on a lot of natural dyes techniques. I wanted to just, like create a piece and create a pattern that was like a staple or like, things that were really special. But it was like, how can I make it more special? Mm-hmm. And as you know, I love color. Mm-hmm. So one thing that was really amazing was to actually start making our own colors. Like not just talking to a fabric mill, no, like pigments and just like really creating like exactly the shades that maybe I was inspired by, like the sky or a painting or something, like a leaf or something. And I was like, no, it's not the exact color. So I started really playing with pigments. And then that led to looking into like, Asian, like Japanese, like dyeing techniques, like how to hand dye with flowers and like all of these things. And so I'm a very intuitive designer. So when I have an idea or something just like calls my mind, like I just tried and do it. And it just has really become a staple from the brand.
I literally envision you in your apartment, like with your hands, red, green, blue, purple, because I feel like I've seen photos of it before. And like you have garments laid out everywhere. Now, when you're doing that in your home, that's like for one specific piece, right? And then because there's no way that you could then put that in, you're not hand dyeing every single piece from Saks, or are you?
Some we are. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because depending on how things are cut, we are. We work also sometimes for like bigger productions with the textile center that is in Brooklyn, so we can go there and like do it. But yeah, every piece, like it's handmade by me and my team, like one by one.
I did not realize that.
Yep. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is absolutely crazy. And then speaking of like some of the larger retailers, when does that start to happen in the business?
So I met RuPaul, who's the fashion director at Saks. Yes. I met her. She was actually one of the judges at the CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund. And, I knew she, like I've like heard so much about her. And I had a lot of respect for her. And then I got to meet her there and we started, talking together. I was so lucky to have all of the judges come to our studio and have like one-on-one time with them. And then I feel like we really connected and she really liked the collection. And that was like for the following season, that's when she picked it up for Saks.
Incredible. When did you really start to feel the momentum?
I feel like that was a big momentum, like launching with Saks. Another big momentum was when we got a call from Anna Wintour's office and she needed me to do...
Ever heard of her?
She needed me to make a dress in less than 24 hours. And we didn't know who the dress was for. We just got measurements and Vogue needed color swatches in rust and red colors in literally less than an hour. So we had to rush to get color swatches, got them to Vogue. She picked I don't remember, a specific beautiful rust color. And yeah, we got the dress done in less than 24 hours and it was for a cover story. We had no idea who it was for. I had my guesses based on measurements, but I had no idea.
Who were your guesses?
So I was guessing between J-Lo and Kim Kardashian.
Oh, so we had a hippie girl.
Yeah, it was hippie, small waist. But I didn't know. I had no idea. I also thought both of them could be perfect candidates for a Vogue cover story.
Yeah.
And then it was actually Kim Kardashian. So
did she wear it?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Tony Goodman styled it. The photo shoot was insane. And so it was did
you get to go?
No, I had no idea. These just happened. And then we just got a confirmation that the talent had actually worn the dress. But we had still no idea until the cover story was out.
Which is huge because
huge.
When those big cover shoots happen, I've actually had the pleasure of seeing them before. Literally, there will be a room as big as most of our bedrooms filled with racks of couture clothing, shoes, hats, bags, jewelry. I mean, so for your design to have been chosen is incredible. Yeah. I had no idea the production that goes into those cover shoots, by the way. It was absolutely
crazy.
Insane.
And so, the whole story apparently started because Anna was walking through the Vogue offices and they were working on that cover story. And then someone from Vogue had pulled the same dress in red, in a bright red from our pre-fall 19 collection, and it was just hanging there. And so she stopped and said, I want that dress for who's that dress from? I want that dress for the cover story. So that's when we got the call. And then it happened, Kim worried, and it was kind of amazing and crazy. And we got so many requests and just I feel like that was one of the
did you remake the dress?
Biggest moments. We remade the dress. Yes, 1,000%. Yes.
And I'm sure it sold
very
out.
fast. Yeah.
Okay, real talk, ladies. And this might be a little TMI, but who are we without our scars? I have had stretch marks and cellulite for as long as I can remember. And I obsessed over these things throughout my 20s, but I started to accept them as part of my life in my 30s. But then I was introduced to Tani and her incredible brand, Tronk, which has completely transformed the way that I think about caring for my body's skin. Tronk was born from Tani's own journey with reproductive health. After her second endometriosis surgery, she discovered the harmful effects of endocrine disruptors in skincare products. Tani then created Tronk, which is an award-winning, science-backed body care line that prioritizes safety and effectiveness. So, if your story sounds a little bit like mine, here is my daily Tronk process. I start with 2 minutes of dry brushing using their Ionic Dry Body Brush. Dry brushing is fantastic for stimulating circulation, exfoliating dead skin cells, and promoting lymphatic drainage. And after that, I spend another 2 minutes using their Body Contour Massager, which enhances the lymphatic drainage even further. Then I jump in the shower, I do my thing, and when I get out, I lather their vitamin C body oil all over my stretch marks before finishing everything off with their firming body butter. If you remain consistent with this program, I promise that you will have your version of Heidi Klum's legs in the 90s in no time. Tronc has been so generous to support our show and offer 20% off your first order with the code Oysta20 at checkout. Visit www.tronc.com, that's TRONQUE.com, and use the code Oysta20 at checkout. Again, visit www.tronc.com and use the code Oysta20 at checkout. It is time to give your body the care and attention it truly deserves, from the face down. This product is 100% hot, rich, anti-approved. Hey, my pearls, did you know that electrolytes, creatine, and collagen are the ultimate hack for looking and feeling amazing? That's why I am so excited that we have partnered up with Harlow. Harlow is a fab 3-in-1 performance-enhancing drink that is packed with natural electrolytes for hydration, collagen for radiant skin and joint support, and creatine to fuel your muscles and boost your cognitive function. Plus, it's sugar-free, gluten-free, and it tastes amazing. So I know what you're thinking. Creatine? Really? Yes, really. As women, we often overlook or are scared of creatine, but it's crucial for boosting our energy and endurance. It also plays a vital role in muscle recovery and helps maintain our overall strength as we age. As a woman juggling a full-time job, a podcast, and a million things in between, I do not have time to waste feeling tired, sore, or not at 100%. And that's why I never miss a day. And I can genuinely say that Harlow makes a difference. Whether I'm sipping it after solid core or enjoying it as a pick-me-up during a busy afternoon, Harlow keeps me hydrated, glowing, and ready to tackle whatever the day brings my way. To hydrate and elevate your wellness with me, visit www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 for 20% off of your first order. That's www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 at checkout for 20% off.
This episode is brought to you by Stellar,
a global marketplace where you can buy and sell exclusive assets with just a few taps. I'm Ella, your new best friend, and I'm here to show you around. When you first open the app, you'll land on the Discovery feed. Up top, there's our search bar. Use it to hunt down your dream experiences. And if you need to narrow it down, our filter feature has got your back. While scrolling through the Discovery feed, if you see something you like, tap on a listing for more details. Need a hand? Just look for me, and I'll be right here to assist you. Thanks for joining us on Stellar. We can't wait to see what you discover.
How do you handle moments like that? Like, I would imagine, I don't know, do you struggle with imposter syndrome at any point like that? Or are you just kind of like going with the flow? And in that instance, you had 24 hours, so there was really no time to deal with any imposter syndrome. But do you ever struggle with feelings of, the fashion industry is really hard. It's hard to stick out. There's so much competition. So what do you do in those moments?
You know me, I'm a very humbled person.
Very.
So I never let my feet step off the ground. And to me, I always think this feels like an amazing moment, but we've worked so hard to get here. And I'm also, I don't know, I feel like my mantra is whatever happens, happens, and it's just is it meant to be? I feel like when things are meant to be, they'll just happen. But I always feel like I even if it's a 1% chance, I always put all of my energy into what I'm doing, and I feel like maybe that specific thing doesn't happen, but then something will come out of the work that you put into things. And if something goes wrong, then, you just stand up again and then continue.
You do it.
So I try not to be, I try for all of these things, not really affect me emotionally. There's some great days, some bad days where maybe it's but I just tell myself there's so many things you cannot control. You cannot control how the economy is going. You cannot control that someone's business has taken a terrible decision and that just has a boomerang effect on yours. But I always try to, pivot and say okay, this was not my fault, but this is the environment or the situation we find ourselves in. What do we do from here? And I feel those are the moments where I get the most creative and just pivot.
Yeah. No, it's true. And how much time do you spend on the creative end and how much time do you spend on the business end?
I feel like it's like 50-50, but I would say like probably it's more on the business part than the creative part. Because like when I'm in the creative part, like, you know, I get completely in the zone. I even disappear from my office.
Yeah.
I might be sketching like anywhere, like doesn't matter. At the
like, what are you
park,
like? Run me through a creative day for you. Like, what does a creative day look like? Or do you just like, do you wake up feeling it and you're like, okay, today is, or do you actually block out the time? Today is going to be, I'm sketching all day today. Or is it just like you wake up and it's a feeling?
Sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes I might wake up in the middle of the night and just like do a quick sketch or like write an idea. When I have to start doing a new collection, I always like to start writing, which seems crazy, but it's like a lot of ideas are just coming through. So I start just like writing, but I could be anywhere. Sometimes I just, you know, I take the day off and I just like go have breakfast by myself or like go have a workout with a friend or just like go to the spa or like just go for a walk. And then I just like sit down like whatever random place and I just start like, okay, you know what? Like I could feel like, you know, this stitch for the crochet or like I could feel these vibe for dresses. And I just start writing down almost as if I'm describing what I have to sketch. And then after that, I started sketching again. But there's something where like from one collection to the other, my hand has to stop sketching. And so I need to kind of like, it sounds so weird, but it's like I need to retrain it. So I like after like writing by hand, because I do everything by hand. I don't work on an iPad. Like I wish like tons of my friends do. And I'm sure it's so efficient, but I do love a piece of paper and like a pen or a pencil.
Same.
So I have like I have a sketchbook and then I have a beautiful croquis that I make a new one every season. You know, I change the hair of the girl or like whatever.
What's a croquis is what like your...
Okay, so a croquis is like I literally used to do every sketch like from zero.
So
and then,
designing the body the whole time.
Exactly.
Like doing a little...
And then one of my dearest friends told me once, like, you're crazy. He was like, make the body once. Like, you can change it every season, make different positions, postures. And then you can either just print them, you know, and like sketch the clothes over. But I figured I actually kind of like to do the body like all the time because sometimes like I like to change things. I feel like it's more organic. So what I do is like I use a sketchbook that the pages are not really thick. And so I just put it behind. And so I have kind of like a template. Right. But then I can, you know, I can just like, you know,
some days you can
do
make her bustier.
Her down, like exactly, like whatever I need. So I like to do that. And then I start and the first one takes me much longer, like all the time. But then I have my list of beautiful things that I'm dreaming, you know, to make. And so I just like kind of go. And sometimes I can just be in the zone for like 3-4 hours, 5 hours, just like sketching. And then it just creates like, it's just this beautiful mayhem of just like full on sketches like on the table.
Color.
And then, and in maybe like 4 or 5 days, it just like show up back at the office with maybe like 100 new sketches. And then we just like start making the board and like, you know, like I already have a mood board. Edit. Yes.
Wow. I mean, I know nothing about the process of like, you know, how things get from your brain and down the runway. So basically like, if you can actually run us through that, because I think it's really interesting to know. So you have these ideas, thoughts in your brain, you put them out on paper, you bring them back to your office, you edit then with your team. Like, do you have a creative director?
No, it's me.
It's you.
It's me.
It's you.
I'm the creative director and I'm the designer. Right. I don't have anyone else.
So you have to get rid of some of your babies every once in a while.
I have then like, you know, I have with my team, like we edit it out and like, you know, I like then we look into like the merchandising and like, you know, ideas. I usually start with the mood board and the colors. Yeah. I create the color story, we make the colors, and then I have my mood board. And then that's when I start researching for like fashion images, like culture images, like, you know, you name it based on the inspiration of the collection. And then like on that, it kind of like starts coming into my brain and I start like visualizing like the pieces, like what is she wearing? Like what color is it in? Like, you know, what fabric? So then I just
Are you writing all
sketching.
Of that out too?
I'm writing
well? Like,
all of
you're
that.
Like,
and
you know, my girl is going to these places this
Yes.
year. She's eating in these places. She's attending these events. This is what she's wearing.
I need to
each
visualize it. Yeah. Like where is she? You know, who is she? And I start like that. And all my sketches are always in pencil. table and they're black and white. I don't color them. I used to, I don't color them anymore. Then I lay out all the colors on the table, all the fabrics we're going to do. And then I look at her and I'm like, what are you, like, what color are you?
Yeah.
And then I start putting, assigning colors and assigning the fabrics. And that's how I like to do it. And then I work with my pattern makers who are based in New York. So I invite them over, I meet with them, and then we go sketch by sketch. And they I don't do technical drawings. And I work, my team is so close that they completely understand the sketches. In some cases they're like, okay, what's the back? So then I just text them a picture of the back, we talk about closures. I love collaborating with my pattern makers. I feel like I couldn't do what I do without my team. And I value every one of them for what they bring me, and how they feel me. And we really, work together into making it happen. And I feel like at the end of the day, you can see that.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's the attention to detail really is just on another level for you. So let's talk about spring, summer 2025, right? Yeah. What was the inspiration for that incredible collection? And by the way, the colors, the palette was just unbelievable. The blues, that yellow piece, so where was your girl going?
So the inspiration was Andalusia in the south of Spain. I hadn't done a collection inspired by that region like that before. And for some reason, I was really thinking about ruffles, but in a very soft and modern way. How would you be making ruffles in the 90s, how would you wear them? And when I was little, I'm not so much into the flamenco music and all of that. It really never, it's sad, I wish it had, but it really never touched me when I was little. But I still loved Andalusia and going there and seeing it. So for instance, my mother and my brother would be obsessed with the music and the sounds. And I was just really looking at the clothing in movement, and the colors and the contrast, of the black and the red, the white and the red, or it's kind of amazing, all of the colors they combine together into those clothes. But then the movement was just insane. So that's kind of how the whole collection started in my head. And I just really started looking into softer ruffles, some editorials from the 60s that were, shot at the Alhambra. I don't remember if it was for Vogue or Bazaar, but it was such a beautiful shoot. And there were some dresses from Balenciaga. And then I looked into some 90s images, very clean and sleek. And then everything just started coming together, some soft suiting, the carnation flower, which is a staple for Spain. We handmade them also here in the garment center. There's a place that handmakes all the flowers. So we gave them the fabric, same fabric as the suit, same fabric as the dresses. And then they built the carnation flowers for us in the different sizes. So I made a bunch of them in different sizes. And then I literally stitched them into the into the pieces, choosing placement. And so it was really, really special.
And what about the piece that had it was crocheted almost in the front? What was that?
Okay, so that technique, it's not from Andalusia, but it's still from Spain. And I've been researching on that for years. And I was so lucky that this summer I got to finally meet these women who make it. So it's one of the oldest lace techniques in the world. And it's called Camariñas lace because it's from the region of Camariñas in the north of Spain, in Galicia. And so they make it with pins, maybe they have 300-400 pins, and they start making little knots with linen or silk threads. Yeah, it's insane. So first there's the sketch and then they put the paper under and they start with little metallic pins, just knotting. And so I was there for a week this summer, but my parents go there every summer and we have tons of friends from there. So I gave my mom some homework of of finding me these Camariñas lace. And when I got there, her friend, who I adore, actually got me the contact of the woman. And so they made these pieces for us. And so I brought them with me as literally diamonds, as if I was carrying diamonds in my suitcase. And so I came back and it was so organic because even though I hadn't designed the collection with them, we were able to place them into it was completely meant to be.
Right. And if you haven't seen the collection yet, it's basically the dress it's a silk dress,
It's
right?
a silk dress. And
the center, well, you explain it.
Sorry. And the center, it's a beautiful applique. So I got the piece they made for us. And so we just like hand stitch it as if you were doing like a lace applique. So they hand stitch it. And then from the back, they cut out like with little scissors, like the back of the silk.
Yeah.
So then it's actually see-through.
Yeah.
It was very, very special.
There was 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
Or
it was in
two.
black and white.
Yeah.
And then we had a flower basket that was on one of the linen dresses and the bows on that like bustier blue dress.
I felt the emotion behind those pieces. For some reason, they were both just very powerful. I didn't know what they were. I'm like, I don't know what the design is in there, but I felt that those were like really like the piece. There was
also a woman like, so relaxed. She's like playing a music instrument. There was
it
just
was
such
an instrument, right? That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a flute, and then it's almost like the music it's coming out of it as if it was like a ribbon throughout the lace. It was really, really special.
Yeah, I can't wait to see women wearing that dress. So as we have just been talking about, the clothes have just walked down the runway. So what happens now for a designer like yourself? The clothes walk down the runway. What's next?
So next is Market Week. Next, it's actually selling the
garments.
clothes. I like to think of it not just for stores. Like we're also actually inviting our private clients to come shop directly from the runway.
Which is exciting for the client. It's so much better than having to go to, not that we don't love going to Saks. We love going to Saks.
I think it's important to also, have a connection with your customer. And I learned so much from it, which also helps later with the wholesale business and like the stores because, it's the same woman, but I also want to see like what do they resonate towards, like what do I want to actually include in my DTC business, like on our e-com website or like our by appointment store, and I feel like when actual clients come and they're like really leaning towards some styles, like to me, it's very important.
Right. Like you should make more if like everyone's going towards the one dress, maybe, okay, we know we should order more of this dress. Maybe someone's not really feeling called to the pants this year, or maybe we need to fix the cut on the pants.
Exactly. But sometimes stores make a buy and then I'm really behind a style and I'm like, but this style would sell so good. And I feel like now with our DTC, like I can actually do that. And it's also a conversation with our stores because I can also pivot and like, we can just like send them some of those styles to the store and take some others and just but yeah, that's very interesting. So yeah, we literally the morning after the show, so the next day we open for market. So we have to bring everything back to the office, set up all the racks, make it beautiful, like get snacks and like, flowers and just, I love seeing it on the racks. So it's, merchandise it. It's, I wish I wasn't that tired. You push through.
We all push through.
We push through.
And it's a great segue actually, because I think that so much of life is just pushing through and you are an incredibly busy woman, but you are also an incredibly hands-on mom. And you have a son who is he 6 now?
5, almost 6. 5. Yes, almost 6. Yeah.
Almost 6. So I could not imagine. I am a woman without children. So when I see women that are running successful businesses and are also being a mom and doing it so effortlessly, I just like, my hat goes off to you. Because some days I'm like, I'm eating Cocoa Pebbles for dinner. And I'm like, right now I know one of my friends has just like, done a shoot for Vogue and is now feeding their child. So how do you do it all? How do you manage it? Is it stressful? Do you ever feel like there's times when you're really excelling as a mom and not excelling at your career, or you're excelling at your career and not excelling at being a mom?
There's definitely like a dichotomy there, but I feel like for the past maybe like 2 years, I've really started to understand that like, you can always repair. So like if one day you've had to be more busy with work, I would say that like the other thing I've done since he was born, like I used to call him like the backpack baby. Like, unfortunately I could not even have like one day of maternity leave because, we live in a country that does that. And if you're your own boss, like that doesn't exist. That's another topic of conversation, but
whole other podcast.
But that was the reality. So I was like, you know what? Like, okay. But then, like I want to really be the mom that I want to be, which you didn't know. Like I really had no idea like who I wanted to be as a mother until I became a mother. And it just became very intuitive to me that I just wanted him to be part of my life. I didn't want it to have it separated. So, and luckily I work for myself. So I told my team, I was like, I'm going to have the baby at the office and I'm just going to do one day at a time. And some days the fittings are going to happen in my apartment. And, we just take one day at a time. So I think that's how I still do it, one day at a time. And so like the day before the show, his nanny picked him up at school. And I told him, I was like, mommy's really busy today. I have the show tomorrow. And he was like, well, can I come to the office? And I was like, of course, like you can either go to the park or like he's always welcome at the office. So I don't have that thing where he doesn't feel like unwelcome, but he knows exactly what I'm doing. He knows everyone from my team, and it's more of a choice for him. Sometimes like after school, he's like, no, I just want to be with mommy. And so I'm like, okay, just hang here.
Right.
And I tell his wonderful nanny to, like go home early. Like I don't like to have a very, like, I don't believe in schedules, like never had. I'm a very organized person, but I feel like some things in life need to be more organic to be happy. So I have routines and there's things that I try to do like every day for consistency because it's good for my mind and body, and like my family as a result.
Of course, yes. We have to take care of ourselves
less
first.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But then I feel like even since he was a baby, I remember people were like, oh, how many naps is he taking? Like, what is his schedule? And I was just like, we don't have a schedule. But then I would go to the pediatrician and the guy would say to me like, okay, like how many naps he takes? And I'm like 3. Like I would just give him like, this is like a, like a usual day. And he was like, oh my God, you have a perfect schedule. But we made it together. Like I didn't have alarms on my phone. I like some days is half an hour earlier, some days is half an hour later. And I honestly that's not a battle that we wanted to.
You're not putting pressure on yourself to
but he gets his hours of sleep, he eats really well. He gets his rest, he gets his play. It's just like every day is different. My industry, every day is different. So if I put that extra pressure on me, I realized that I'm not going anywhere. I'm just mad. I'm stressed because I can't be with him so we all work in a very organic way. Yeah. And, I have a wonderful husband who's a fantastic dad and we're a team, and we do everything together. And we also have his wonderful nanny who we adore. And we're just all a team, we don't have the grandparents here. Like we import them
every
lot of
once
times.
in a while.
But it's tough. So I just decided that the more relaxed we were, like the better parents we would be and everything would be easier. So,
and he gets to watch you do and build this incredible thing. I mean, it's so beautiful to see his son watch his mom like really excel and do these incredible things and have runway shows and, everything that you do. I'm sure there's mundanity. I don't know if that's a word, but there's very exciting days doing what you do.
And I remember like the day before the show, like this like never had happened before. And I got a call from his nanny and she was like, he's had like, 3 meltdowns and like he really wants to go with you. And I was like, of course. But I had forgotten to tell her that, like he like just come to the office. She was like, but don't you want to go to the park and have an ice cream or whatever? So then I was like, okay, we're literally just packing the entire collection and we're heading to the museum where we show the collection. And she was like, okay, so we should just meet you there. I was like, cool. And so he was literally just setting up, like he was emptying the suitcases with the shoes. He was organizing them. My team was telling him what to do. And he was part of it. We got home a little late, 9:30, but whatever. I emailed his teachers. I was like, I'm so sorry. He'll be missing school tomorrow morning. Like I have my fashion show and he really wants to come. And I think it's important that he sees why I'm not home certain days or, and also that he sees that I do what I love and that I work so hard for it. And I hope that one day he finds his passion and he's lucky to actually do what he loves. And I think that's so important. And since he's very little, when he's doing something, he's like, I really love doing these. Like, then like, what could this turn into a job? And so he loves buildings. I'm like, it could be, architecture. It could be engineering. It could be, he loves like so many things. But he asked me and I'm like, yeah, like this. So he's always thinking about like, what his passion could be or what he wants to be when he grows up.
Which most 5-year-olds are not talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's so incredibly awesome. And he stole the show show at the end of your show. It was the cutest thing ever. Alejandra comes out, she does her wave, and he just like jumps on her. It was just like the most beautiful, real moment. Because I think that sometimes when you get caught up in all of the capital F fashion of things, you forget that these designers are actually just human beings.
Yes.
that live regular lives just like the rest of us. So
Yes.
I absolutely loved seeing that. Last two questions. Okay. So there's a ton of success, right? What are some of the things that you do still struggle with on a daily basis, if there is any?
I mean, as we're self-funded.
Mm-hmm.
We run like small operation business, or like, well, I wouldn't say that's small, but like we're a small team. As I like to say, I like to work with type A people. Like that's what I've learned through these years. I can't be on top of everyone like at the whole time. And we all do wear many different hats throughout the day. So I think the thing that I struggle the most is to find that people, which as in today, I feel like I'm so happy with everyone that I have. And also with the fact that I feel like the fashion industry has a lot of things that have been doing the same time, like the same way for a very long time. And I feel like a lot of those ways are outdated, or I don't think those ways, adapt into my business, or I don't think that's going to make us bigger or stronger or better. Like completely the opposite. So I guess like what I struggle every day with is like to really find, the different ways in which, like for instance, I decided a couple of months ago, I'm not going to be doing 4 collections a year. Like I was kind of like, pushing to that. I like to do slow fashion. I love taking the time. I do a lot of handwork. On top of that, like again, I'm the CEO. Like I have to be doing so many other things, like, like a lot of like PR events, a lot of other things.
Face of the brand.
And I love it. I'm the face of the brand, but I'm the creative director. I'm the designer. I'm the CEO. It's like, it's a lot of hats, Like I was doing the sales appointments this week myself with my sales director because I love being there and I love talking to the buyers and I learned so much from it. But I feel like, I took the decision. I was like, you know what? Like other designers have done this like in the past year. And it's like, we will still have 4 deliveries for our biggest partners, but creative wise, I'm only going to be putting concepts into 2 collections a year that then will divide into 2 deliveries per collection. So you get it 4 times.
Right.
But I don't have to do this whole thing like 4 times a year. Like we'll add maybe like a few like special pieces for runway, and I feel like that's going to be more organic. So I feel like there's no right or wrong, but it's just like the struggle of like really trusting my own intuition and my gut and just kind of like going through that. And I feel like that's like an everyday struggle. And then, keeping like I feel like other brands have like giant investors, and all of these things. And so they can actually do ginormous things. And the truth is I'm hanging with them at the stores, which is incredible. Like we're sharing the same floor, we're sharing the same racks,
Certainly.
So it's like as a designer brand, like, but not having like those huge investors backing you up, like how do you still, like produce like gorgeous images, or how do you put together like a luxurious show? And so it's a struggle, but I don't know. I like to be uncomfortable that way. I feel like I thrive on those situations. I have found like wonderful, insanely creative and talented people who have supported us on that, give us like, special rates, they really believe in the brand. And I feel like all of that would really make us grow, but it is a struggle. But I also think that
you have to be more creative though.
And if I ever get, one of these big groups like backing us up, or, what I would love to do, then I will be so careful with budget, and I would not take stupid decisions or just like waste stupid money, into things that I feel like don't really move the needle. Like,
right.
So I don't know. Again, everything happens for a reason.
I love that. Feels like you're not putting as much stress and pressure on yourself that you probably did in the beginning, and you're doing it more the exact same way that you parent.
Yep. Organic.
Yeah. I love that. Last question. If you could choose one word that you would want your character to be remembered by, what would it be?
Authentic.
I love that. And I think that you are 100% to yourself. It's like when I watch a lot of your pieces go down the runway, I think I could see her wearing every single one of these. you know, like but it's also for every woman at the same time. But you are so prominent in everything that you do. And it does all feel really authentic. It feels true to you, the woman that you are. I think you can also see how much you love women in the designs that you make. Everything that I've ever worn from you makes me feel really good. And that's not true for a lot of designers. You know, I think you can feel sometimes designers love women or hate women.
Yes.
You love women and you could really feel that. And you love what you do, which is so beautiful. And it's been so fun and inspirational for me to watch you do what you do. And it inspires me every day to wake up and do the things that I'm passionate about and continue to build. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you. And thank you for inspiring me. And I would say like Paula is one of the most authentic people I've ever met. And I love her for that. She really stands by her values. She's following her passion. And yeah, you're never afraid of like speaking up and do what you love and wear what you love. And,
exactly.
And I love it. It's very, very inspiring.
Oh, well, it's all about female friendships and empowerment. And I'm so happy to have you in my circle. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I loved hearing your story, you know, and this is like a huge reason why I started this show is that I've been really fortunate to, you know, create this community of women around me that have these incredible big lives. And it's really weird to ask your friends, how'd you do that? Right. You know, and it's like, yes, I can do that, but it's very rare that you get the opportunity to tell your story. And I felt that like, I really felt called to do this for people like yourself that are in my lives that have these beautiful lives and stories to share them. And we did yours today. So thank you so much for coming. I'm not going to let you go yet. I want to do a little quick fire because the girls want to like get a little bit of advice from you. Okay. So what is one piece from your collection that every woman should have in their wardrobe?
The two-piece suit.
The two-piece
that
suit
I'm
with
wearing.
Yes.
I feel like the vest and the pants, like you must have these ones.
The pants, I'm obsessed with the pants. They look so good. And they look good on everybody too, tall, short. It's like, they're incredible. What's your go-to styling tip for transitioning an outfit from day to night?
Shoes.
So just a change of shoe.
Yep.
And what do you think is like the adequate daytime shoe? What's the adequate nighttime shoe?
A daytime shoe could be a pair of like high boots now that we're going into fall. Mm-hmm. And you can then just like change it into a beautiful, gorgeous like evening sandal, maybe with like some sheer tights, you know, and really change the entire look.
What about jewels? Like earrings, daytime earrings to nighttime earrings?
That jewelry also, I'm kind of like thinking in my life that sometimes I'm actually at the office and I just had to like do a quick change and go, but I don't like to be carrying jewelry in my purse. So whatever I'm wearing during the day, I just push through the night.
I have the luxury of having really sensitive ears. Yes. So I have at any time in my bag have at least 6 pairs of earrings in my bag. So I'm always just like switch around.
But I would say also jewelry and maybe even like a handbag change. Like to me, those things like really just change the look of my collection. Accessories, yeah.
Love that. If you could only design with one material for the next year, what would it be and why?
Silk.
She loves silk.
Because
guys.
I love it.
And your silk designs are fabulous. Everybody, please look out for Alejandra's Spring-Summer 2025 collection. Where can everybody find you on the internet and where can they buy up all your clothes?
So they can find us at alejandraalonsorojas.com. They can buy there. They can come to our boutique in Soho by appointment and come try the collections, do fittings. They can find us at Saks.com at the stores. They can find us at Kieran Elizabeth here in New York on Mercer Street, which is very close to us and we love them. Moda Operandi, who I also adore. And then in other specialty stores around the country too. Fabulous. And also, by the way, we're launching on Revolve with the Resort collection, which is major. So you cannot shop yet. That's why I wasn't mentioning it. But you're going to be able to shop very, very soon. I cannot wait to launch.
Oh, amazing. Okay, we'll try to sync up the launch of this episode with your launch on Revolve. That would be incredible. Congratulations. That's major. Everybody, go shop and go follow. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Goodbye.